There's a section about people doing that thing they do where they take a non-binary character and make a bunch of bogus arguments to say that they're not non-binary. So if you want to skip that, then it should be timestamped. Before we ice the bug, it's worth knowing that I'm a lot bigger of a fan of certain Nintendo properties than others. This, amplified by the lack of big announcements during Direct, means that, like, a core of this video is going to be about Side Order. The Sky. The announcements. The announcements of the Direct. I don't need to explain these. You've seen the Direct. And if you haven't seen the Direct, then you'd be pleased to know what I'm using as footage for this video. The Surface. Oxgender. So I know, this is the appending entry. It's like the second one. This somehow isn't the first time I've had to affirm the gender of a non-binary Nintendo character whose name starts with A, even this year, so I'll keep this brief. A Splatoon North America promotional tweet about Arc used they them pronouns, seemingly confirming them as non-binary. However, she/her pronouns have been used for them in the past. Also, around 14 months ago, the Splatoon world dealt with a different blue-haired Octoling who was suspected of having pronouns. So is Arc actually non-binary? Probably, yeah. Again, keeping this short, the Siffer situation was just people jumping to a conclusion due to a coincidence where no pronouns were used for her, whereas the Arc tweet explicitly uses they them. As for their past pronouns, people often change their pronouns, especially after discovering things about themselves. Lord knows that I had pronouns that aligned with my assigned gender at birth back in 2017. Technically, the devs could have used they them back then, but they might have just not had the idea of making them non-binary yet. But knowing how in-universe the Squid Research Lab likes to make their lore drops, they possibly did it before an in-universe coming out. To be thorough, though, it could just be that Act has a binary gender and uses she/they pronouns, or has a non-binary gender and uses she/they pronouns, or what evidence compared with other languages most suggests they are non-binary and use any old pronouns. Piero! Piero was a leaker who had correctly guessed both the announcement of Super Mario Bros. Wonder and the Super Mario RPG remake for the June Direct, and for this Direct, vaguely hinted at multiple things, including the Another Code remake, Mario vs. Donkey Kong remake, Princess Peach Showtime, and F-099. The last tweet before the Direct simply said, "What will close the Direct?" and nobody was sure what it meant at the time, but in retrospect, I have a stupid theory. Hear me out. Close is just specific enough phrasing to where I think that it might be hinting something. So like real life doors and how they can close, right? And there's a door in the Thousand Year Door? Skipping Paper Mario 64. There's a Thousand Year Door remake, but no one for its predecessor, Paper Mario. This is just really setting up for a later entry. Smash Amiibo restocks. On August 28th, 17 days before the Direct, many Smash Amiibo got restocked. Typically, Amiibo restocks don't happen without a major upcoming announcement, so naturally people started to speculate. Could there be a Fighters Pass 3? The timeline works out with the end of the Booster Course Pass, and they wouldn't just do a patch for the game 2 years after DLC ended, just to add the inevitable Sora Amiibo, right? Not helping things is that the assumed implication of the Amiibo restocks, the Sora Amiibo reveal, broke a lot of trends. It was the first time an Amiibo stock was for an Amiibo reveal. Amiibo are typically never revealed on their own, and the absolute size of the Amiibo restock. For example, the restock for Caesar's reveal only restocked the 2 Cloud Amiibos. The bottom side of the surface. Booster Course Pass selection screen issues. Before the Direct and even up until now, there are only 2 spots left for new characters on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's character select screen. However, the Direct revealed 4 new characters coming to the game for Wave 6. From some of the new characters being skins, to demoing other characters to skins, to just entirely rearranging the character select screen, there have been many theories of how this will be reconciled. I personally think that the first of these will be the case, but I could see it going anyway. Fungal's weird events. The events for the newly revealed Among Us map, the Fungal, take the form of carnivorous plants, which raises the question, how will these work from a lore standpoint? Is a new imposter formed from the plant they emerge from? Are they part of a hive mind? How would the plant even create an imposter? Or are the plant's roots big enough to send a whole imposter through? Are these plants even connected in the first place? In the script, I didn't give enough context to explain why that would even be a question in the first place. So, I don't know how many examples of this there are in nature, but there's this one big tree in Utah called Pando, and if you were to just stand on the ground, it looked like a bunch of separate normal-sized trees, but all those trees are actually genetically identical, and underneath them, they have this big root system that shares nutrients between all the trees. Side order roguelite. Some people have speculated that side order will be a roguelike or roguelite. I personally don't know enough about either of the two to understand all the evidence, but people tend to point to the upgrade system and the fact that Nintendo said it could be replayed over and over. Again, not very knowledgeable about roguelikes, but this all seems like just not enough evidence for me to consider it. Even looking at what this DLC's predecessor, Octo Expansion, changed, you could only do levels non-linearly, not entirely changing genre. Layer 4, Amiibo restocks one tied to the Direct. As mentioned in an earlier section, a lot of things involving the Amiibo restocks foreshadowing the reveal of the Sora Amiibo are unusual. But they're only unusual if we see them as foreshadowing the Sora Amiibo. According to this big fat forum post I'm getting most of my information for both of these entries, the longest time between restock and reveal has been 3 months, with the June 2022 Splatoon restocks prior to Splatoon 3's release. That gives us a window ending about 28th of December if we round down, and 13th of December if we round off. The gap between the given restock was likely affected by Splatoon 3's delay, but it's not like the Smash thing couldn't have also been delayed. Further evidence for something else Smash, there's a second Smash restock planned for November. Amiibo restocks have never been after a reveal, so unless we want to break yet another trend with the Sora Amiibo reveal, then this second restock would have to point to something. Also, the Game Awards happens to fit in both the rounded off and rounded down ranges. The Game Award also happens to land on the 5th anniversary of Smash Ultimate. Side Order Simulation. Side-ordered Sideworld has always been just a bit weird. Towns normally don't turn completely white, even with climate change going on. But with the second trailer, things got a lot weirder. You ever notice how much stuff appearing from nothing there is? There's the weird bone salmonids, 8 stoolies, this exploding rectangular prism, 8's palette, and even 8 herself at one point. This could hypothetically just be advanced technology, but what's less subtle is the one shot of what appears to be a giant wall of code, or this shot of everything, including 8, being covered in said code. Switch to colored buttons. In the trailer for the Super Mario RPG remake, specifically the non-Japanese ones, an interesting detail can be gleaned. The in-game A button pop-up is colored red, lining up with the colors of the Super Famicom's buttons, but not the Super Nintendo's buttons. This wouldn't be too shocking since the game was originally on the Super Famicom, but the Thousand Year Door remake, whose home console had infamously green A buttons, also has a red A button graphic. The theory that the Switch successor will have colored buttons, and that these graphics are future-proofing for that console. This theory would also mean that the Switch successor has backwards compatibility, by the way. The Abyss. The demise of Fire Emblem Toad. In the original, The Thousand Year Door, there was a cool Toad who would talk about Fire Emblem. In the trailer for the remake, however, they're gone. They got rid of Fire Emblem Toad. Some people have speculated that maybe they just moved him, but I think he's gone. Noah and Mio are secret Smash Amiibo. Without knowing what we learned this direct, the Noah and Mio Amiibo would sure seem suspicious. They too were announced after that game had completed its DLC, but there was also some questions about their function since the last 3 Xenoblade Amiibo served as weapon cosmetics, but Noah and Mio's weapons are already in the game. Connecting this to the last 2 Amiibo entries, people began to speculate that Noah and Mio's Amiibo would secretly be Smash Amiibo. This concept in retrospect is quite silly since 3 just added a different kind of Amiibo functionality, and the concept of a secret Smash Amiibo is absurd in the first place. This could still technically be true, but the newly revealed release date seems like way too quick a turnaround time since the reveal, especially considering that they're Amiibo. Also, that means that the Amiibos for Fighters 83 and 84 would release before Fighter 82's Amiibo, and that just feels wrong on a moral level. They aren't skipping Paper Mario 64. I figured that they aren't skipping Paper Mario 64, whatever that means. Maybe it's a 64 remake after, maybe some added 64S content, something that carries non-skipping connotations. Evidence includes some small changes referencing Paper Mario, music from Paper Mario being used in the trailer, people generally doubting that they'll skip Paper Mario. In the original The Thousand Year Door, there was a cool toad who would talk about Fire Emblem. In the trailer, maybe some added 64 as content, something that commies